Hello, my friends. Good morning and welcome to another episode of A Sound Mind with Gloria. I remain your favorite host, Gloria Odin. We are so glad that you could join us today. Today's conversation is one that touches every single one of us, no matter our age, no matter our profession, no matter our background, no matter our religion, and no matter our gender. And if you're someone who is seeking constantly to improve the well-being of your mental state, this conversation is for you. You know, when people hear the word mental health, I don't know if I introduced the topic, but the topic is how to improve the quality of your life through mental well-being. And when people hear the word mental well-being, they often think that something must be wrong before you go hear the word mental well-being. But in reality, mental well-being has to do with the state of your mind. You know, how you think, how you feel, how you live with others, and even how you serve God, you know, how you cope with daily stresses of life. You know, as human beings, we cannot take away stress in our lives. You know, stress are a part of our being. But if you're mentally stable or your mental health is healthy, very healthy, you will be able to navigate life effortlessly. So today, we are so honored to have a very special guest with us. She is a nurse in a general hospital. She's a wife, she's a mother, and an active leader in the church. She balances professional responsibility, family life, faith, and service. She understands firsthand our mental well-being, what mental well-being really looks like in real life. Please help me welcome the highly esteemed Deaconess Angela Icheku. You're welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. I'm truly grateful that you're here with us. We are honored to have you share in this important conversation. Thank you, man, once again. Like I said earlier on, we are glad to have you, man. You are a woman who wears many hats. You're a healthcare worker, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a church leader, you're a choir, you're a deaconess, you are everywhere in the teenage church, and you have so many more. Briefly tell us about yourself and what you do.
Okay, thank you so much. I think you've already done most of the introduction. Okay, first I'm elated to be here. We're talking about this topic with the public. Okay, this is Angela Icheku. I'm a wife. I'm a nurse by profession, a midwife by specialty. I'm a mother. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm into millinery business, that's making of headways and to a couple of things. And that's simply who I am.
That's powerful, man. So let's begin. Many people hear the word mental well-being, but not all fully understand what it is. So from your experience, man, what exactly is mental well-being?
Okay, explaining that, I'll try as much as possible to avoid every medical jargon. But to simply put, mental well-being has to do with day-to-day coping with life activities. So I would say coping positively with life activity as it from being able to relate positively not only to yourself but to your family, to the community and the society at large. Well, that is not to mean that you wouldn't face stress, but the ability to have the tool to cope with stress and come out bouncing back in good health. That's mental well-being.
Thank you, ma'am. That's very clear. So mental well-being is not just about avoiding stress, but about managing it well. That's very right. Let's talk about the quality of life and how does mental well-being actually improve the quality of our lives. It's a question to you. You know, we talk about ability to handle daily stressors, okay? So, how does mental well-being actually improve the quality of our lives?
it begins with you as an individual, because everything starts from you and it starts from the mind. So it has to be a decision of what state of mind do you want to find yourself as an individual. So once you're able to answer that question, that I want to be healthy, because your communication, your daily activities all comes from the mind. So if you have a positive mindset, you're able to send out positive energy and it helps you to be productive. So for you to be productive every day, I would advise that you as an individual, you're supposed to take care of your mental health the way you take care of your physical body. Yes, because every day I don't think there's anyone that hasn't taken their bath. We brush, we drink water. So if you use that mindset that this is how I will treat my mind, this is how I will want to stay healthy, so it will be easy for you to manage stressors that want to wear you out or becomes overwhelming.
Thank you for that. That being said, taking care of the mind, like she rightly said, most persons pay attention to their physical body, neglecting the mind. So the mind also is as good as taking care of your physical body. And I would like to say that you're someone who works in the hospital, and I've heard a lot of health practitioners saying patients who have a positive mindset recover faster than patients who have a negative mindset. You know, most times when people are going to the hospital, before they even reach the doorstep, they're already scared. So many things are running through their mind negatively, and I believe that's the reason, or one of the reasons, why someone might take too long to recover from an ailment. If that is true, I'm not in the medical line, but I think common sense and what we do, we should tell us that with a positive mind, we should be able to recover faster. That's very, very enlightening. So, man, I still want to ask you a lot of questions. This is the reason why you're here, and I believe that a lot of our listeners out there are really glued to this talk show because of the importance, that it brings to taking care of their minds. So, man, you juggle multiple roles. You are a nurse, you are a wife, you are a mother, you are a church leader. What mental pressures do you personally face? This is a personal question. So I think there are so many persons out there who juggle between so many things, and they are really unable to manage it. At the end of the day, they become so stressed out. They become emotionally exhausted. So to you, ma, this is a real life situation now. How do you juggle? How do you ensure that your mental well-being is intact?
Wow. If I say I don't get overwhelmed most of the time, it's not true. But actually, over time, I've learned to know when to stop. Because that's one thing. For you to manage stressors, for you to manage your mental health, you must know your capacity. You must know when to stop. And do you know what? The way God made the body, it gives you signal. It doesn't just come on you. There are signals. So if you try not to ignore those signals, the signals are simply telling you stop. Wait, rest. So most time why most persons go into crisis is because they refuse to respond to that signal. They refuse to obey. So I know when to stop. I just try, sometimes it comes like headaches, sometimes it comes like you feel so fatigued and all that. So once you start getting that your body is saying, for today, you're up to capacity, rest. So we know when to stop. And I think that has helped me to be able to manage, and also, taking up all these roles. I think a very well planned organization, you should be able to build people around you that can assist, people of capacity. So it helps you also relieve yourself of being burnt out and having all the depression and every other signs that comes with mental illness and all that. So I try to assist me. I ask for help when needed. I talk to someone when needed. I relax. Sometimes I'll just say, I want to give myself a treat. That heart rate is not something special. I just want to rest. Sometimes just watch a movie, something that takes you out of that stressor, so it helps you build up and come back bouncing.
That's what we call emotional resilience, the ability to come back or to bounce back after a very stressful event. You've rightly said, stress or burnout doesn't just happen at once. Your body sends you signals. But I had to ask this question: what if you're working for an organization and you have a deadline to meet, and your body is giving you those signals like, I am tired, may take a break, and then before you have deadline to meet, and you also know that your job is so important to you because it fits. It provides you with finances to run your home. So at that point where your body is giving up and you have a deadline to meet management expectation, what are you supposed to do? I think our listeners can relate to those who are working in a highly stressful environment, highly organized. What are you supposed to do so you can balance your work and you can also balance your well-being?
Okay, so to answer that question, let me give us a real life story. I think it happened on Monday. I was supposed to be on morning shift, and I woke up having this headache. And usually it's not something normal. Just had this headache. At a point, I wasn't feeling good at all, and I just knew I shouldn't leave the house because there's this common say, we say, soldier come, soldier go, barracks remain. It's true. It may sound funny, but do you know if you drop dead, that work continues. Some other person will take up that role. So we should know that no matter, even if you're working for yourself, some other person will take up that role. So the organization they always have a replacement. So I felt that way, and I can't risk it. So what I did, I called my superior. I didn't wake up on the good side. I don't think I'm good. I think I need rest. And there was an information. And did they perform that duty that day? Absolutely yes. Somebody replaced me that day, and the work went on. So I had to rest. I had to do some little check my BP and all that, and I knew I should rest. And I continued monitoring myself till about 4 p.m. and I was getting back myself. So if I risk it, I say I must. There's nobody that can do it better than me. There's nobody. Maybe I would have ended up in the emergency ward because I refused to respond to the signal that came early that morning. So whether you're having a deadline, you have a target, yourself first. Because if you're not healthy, you cannot be productive.
Of course.
I have testimony of those around me that I think they didn't really monitor themselves, and one had stroke. And some other person took his place. The work cannot stand still because of you. So you should know that yourself first, so you can give out more. So I think you should inform your superiors, but let it be yourself first before the job.
I think, as you're talking, so many thoughts are resonating within me. This is one of the reasons we hear that somebody collapsed at work.
Exactly.
Because they are trying to put the job before themselves. For the fear of what will they say? Yes. They will call me lazy. They will call me this. Whereas your body is speaking. Another thing that came to my mind is one of the reasons for poor performances at work is when you are not in the right mental state. You can't even think. You can't think. And the funniest thing, mental issues are not physical. When you have an injury, somebody can say, I have an injury. They can see the wound, they can see blood dripping, they can see bandage. So they would likely say, oh, you're not feeling fine, sorry. But when it comes to the mind, when you try to explain that something is happening to you, many people will you're faking it.
Because you're all well dressed, you try to fake a smile out there, and you're like, there's nothing wrong. But do you know what you can't see?
Yeah.
It's even more dangerous than what you see. Yes, for instance, if you have accident victims, those that don't have physical injury depend on the impact of the RTA. Those that don't have physical injury, we treat them more crucial than those that have, because they're having. Let me tell you a real life story. You know, Teen Sister Boss actually had RTA some years back. Then I was in the A&E department, and you know, they all had injuries except two. And this particular guy, there was no physical injury. He was even helping to bring in others into the units and all that. Do you know he died first? While he was helping, he was having internal bleeding without knowing. Like it was just like a film show. He died.
Yeah, because something was happening in the inside.
So the same thing with
the mind.
Yeah, the mind. So you don't really see except the individual, except the person.
And sometimes, even when these things are happening in the inside, it has a way of manifesting outside. That's where you have anxiety issues. You will have depression. You will have high blood pressures. You will have heart palpitations.
Exactly.
You can just disassociate. These are physical symptoms that something is happening on the inside. This is so powerful, and I'm very sure that our listeners are learning, so we can be more humane when you are dealing with people, so we can be held accountable for taking care of our minds. Thank you so very much, man. This is so eye-opening, and I'm so elevated that we're having this conversation with a first-hand person. You know, thank you for that, man. So let's go on, man. I want to ask you some questions. You already answered that one way that we can improve our mental well-being is by taking intentional rest. Okay, rest is not laziness. And I also want to add up that we don't bottle up things. Yes, I know that we are in an era when you try to vent your issues, even in church, you can meet a pastor and try to tell him what's going on, and the next Sunday morning they are preaching about it. Have you not seen it? Because there was a sister that came to me and was complaining. They don't need to preaching, and because of that embarrassment or that fear of lack of confidentiality, people don't really want to open up. Or the next thing you see your story on social media, or when things go wrong between you and your friend, she's casting you, telling the whole world. So I think because of all this narrative, a lot of persons bottle up emotions, and when you bottle up emotions, you're not doing your mind good. So I think another way, if you're not feeling too safe to confide in someone, I think you can journal. It's either you pray to God. No, not either. You should pray to God. You should not either. Praying to God is a necessity. You should pray to God. And I think you can also vent out. Just look for a quiet space. You can go out to the field. If you're feeling angry, just scream. Vent it. I don't like what you did to me. You didn't treat me right. You didn't do this. Or you feel like laughing, just laugh. You feel like crying, it's okay to cry, we're humans. But when you bottle up those emotions, they have a way of affecting our mental well-being, and that's why people easily have an outburst.
Yeah.
You know, they ask, this little thing, why they have bottled it up over the years. Somebody has made you angry, you don't know how to express yourself. And that is communication.
Yes.
Yeah, when you see people who lack communication skills, please, if you're someone here listening to this conversation and you lack communication skills, the basic is to learn. That's why we're bringing this program to you, so we can learn, relearn, and unlearn. You can even read books. You can even look inward. Something might be wrong. So from your childhood brought up, probably you're someone who wasn't given the right environment to express yourself. Now then, adult becomes an issue. You don't know how to communicate with people. In one of the episodes, we talk about healing from childhood trauma. So I think you should go back and watch that video. It's going to help a lot. So let's learn to communicate, so that in days of crisis, in days of mental meltdown, whoever you're communicating to will be able to see through you and give you the necessary help. Another thing, man, I would have loved to talk about how nutrition plays a role in mental well-being. You know, in the north, probably the northerners just eat food without really knowing the value. But the northerners eat a lot of fruits. They eat a lot of vegetables. There's hardly a meal that you wouldn't see vegetable, either carrot, either green beans, and they take fruits. They don't really understand the importance, but as taking fruits, I believe that it helps you build a healthy mind. Please, can you buttress on that point and how we can incorporate that to other cultures? Let's embrace the eating of fruits, vegetables, limiting alcohol, cigarette, all those substances that will alter the mind. Please, man, just say more light on this.
Okay, talking about the food we eat, it's majorly contributes to development of the brain. Yeah, but if you're talking of the mind thinking, it also leads to sharp thinking. But talking about the mind, it comes from your environment, it comes from the things you hear, the things you feed yourself with. Though, so for food and nutrition, I know the Northerners, with what I know, they have healthy meals. Yes, they have a lot of grains which are healthy, and they have a lot of fruits, just like you rightly mentioned. So it helps development of the brain. But when it comes to the mind, I think there's slight difference, because what makes one have a positive mindset, or else we'll say every educated person should have a positive mindset out there, but unfortunately that's not the case in the society, because having a positive mind has to do with what you allow in. So just like you rightly mentioned, from your growing up, your childhood, probably the things you hear constantly, the things you're exposed to constantly, helps in outside the food, helps to build what you have in mind, what the mentality you have is, and it's either positive or negative. So that's what mainly contributes to the mindset. So you can have somebody that is not well fed, but they have a positive mindset that I can change something. So that one doesn't come from the nutrition when it comes to that aspect. But so I think it's majorly what you're being fed with, what the mind constantly hear, what the ears constantly, we have different gateways, what you see, what you hear, so it affects the mind. So that's what majorly builds the mind. There are most persons that think that things cannot change. There are so many persons think that they can't break grounds, and if you trace it back, it's maybe what they've been hearing either from their parent, from their guardian, or their environment. So it builds that negative mindset. While there are others that tell you there's no impossibility with them, and they are out to get a goal. And if you trace it, most time it comes from what they've been hearing over time. So it helps them with that mindset and reading. So I think there's slight difference between what you eat and having a positive mind.
Thank you very much for that clarification. From what I can take from this, for someone to maintain a healthy mind, you need to be careful of what you consume in, what you listen to, and then the environment you are in, because a toxic environment can affect your mental well-being. When you are constantly being criticized, when you are constantly being embarrassed, when you are constantly being devalued
or talked down,
there are people that, because they don't really know the impact of their words on others, they just say things carelessly, and it's not enough for us to have this talk show and then you listening to us, and then you go back and do the opposite, and then you wonder why your team members or your family members are having anxiety issues, they are being depressed, when we have already told you to be careful of the words you are planting in them, and then you do the opposite. I don't think it's right. So as we are putting these words out there, let's be humane enough, let's be kind, let's correct with love, and just know that when you constantly embarrass someone, or when you talk down on someone, just know that you are destroying them. Have it at the back of your mind that you are destroying them, because now you are aware of what damages the mind. Thank you so very much, ma'am, for this beautiful clarification. So, ma'am, I think this is the final question, and it has to do with the role of faith in mental well-being. As a church leader, how does faith play a role in mental well-being?
Wow. I think I'm a testimony to that. Well, faith has really helped us to cope with life stress, to be able to manage, There's nothing as good knowing that you have someone more stronger, more powerful behind you. You have a backing. It's just like a child that goes to look for trouble, and you see them like, okay, follow me to the house. The person boasts because either the person has seen the father or the elder brother behind, so the person boasts. So it's the same thing with us in faith. We have a God that is strong in our weakness. That's why he told us in 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 7, he said, cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you. So knowing that we have a God that cares for us, it's not just a God, it's a Father. So knowing that at the back of your mind, it gives you the boldness, it gives you the confidence. You just be like the disciples that though they were in the boats and this storm came up, but because there was somebody stronger than the storm, they were not consumed. They were able to come out of that sea without being sunk into the sea. So the same thing, when you believe in God, it helps you know that no matter the stress you go through, and let me mention, being in faith doesn't mean you won't pass through stress. That's not true. As long as you're still living on earth, it is inevitable. You must pass through stress. But in the storm, he said, I will be there. He's already there. In the fire, he said, I will be there. It won't consume you. So he's there. Knowing we have such a God, so it gives you the boldness, it gives you that confidence that I can't be overwhelmed by this situation. So it keeps you going. It keeps you going. So I think that's what faith has really done to us that believe in God. And for you that do not believe in God, just trust him, because he's always a strength, he's always our comforter, he's called our leader, he's called a teacher. He guides you how to navigate through those difficult times, and you come out victorious.
Thank you so much. And this brings to mind the scripture that tells us that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So our strength is not in our abilities, our strength comes from God. Thank you so very much, ma'am. So as we wrap up this talk show, or this episode rather, what final message, ma'am, would you like to share with our audience?
Okay, first, there are two things I would say. First, know that in any activity you find yourself, any profession or business or whatever you've been called into, put yourself first. Yeah, put yourself first. You must be healthy to be productive. You must be able to love on yourself for you to be able to dish out. I want to liken our mental health, and I want to liken our words to nutrition. What you say, what you listen to, what you see should be likened to the vegetables, to the carrots and the fruits. So feed yourself with nutritious meal by what you see, what you hear. So consider yourself first. Feed yourself healthy. Only then can you give out healthy things out there to your friends, to your family, to your community, and to the society at large. And secondly, do not fail to ask for help. Most persons don't speak out because of either the stigmatization. There's this virus in the society when you just mention mental health, people say the person is mad. So people don't want to speak out because they don't want to be termed as being mad and all that, but that's not the case. So speak out when you need to speak. Ask for help when you need to. Relax. Stop when you need to. You need to stay alive to achieve your goals. You need to stay alive to be productive. You need to stay healthy. Because when you're not there, I bet you some other person will take up that role.
That's so powerful, man. Thank you so much for those encouraging words and for sharing from both your professional and your personal life. Thank you so very much. And to everyone listening and watching, remember this: improving the quality of your life starts from within. Take care of your mind, nurture your heart, and live well. See you on the next episode. God bless you. I love you.